Then there's the fear of change. Now, think about this one for a minute. I'm an expired listing, you know, and my home's been on the market 24 months. It hasn't sold. I had people traipse through it. I didn't have any offers. And here comes Mr. or Mrs. Realtor along saying, hey, I can sell your home in the next 30 days. Would that pose a problem for you? And I'm going, well, you know, I don't even know what to say, right? Because a lot of people, the fear of change, that fear of, you know, I got so accustomed and so used to my home not selling, or I got so used to and accustomed to going out and seeing 50 properties, which we're not going to do, by the way, because we talked about that yesterday, right? 5 to 7, remember we talked about that? But I've gotten so used to going out and writing an offer and it getting rejected, or writing an offer and someone outbids me. Marianne, we talked about that this morning, over and over and over again. Well, guess what? What if you actually could sell them a home and they had to move? What if you actually had a seller today who had to make the choice to move? That change, believe it or not, for them is very, very scary. Maybe you're dealing with someone who's downsizing. They've been in their home for 20, 30, 40 years, and now they're downsizing to a smaller property. What if it's a first-time home buyer, and this is the first time they've ever purchased a home, and they're not really sure of the direction they should be going? We're going to talk about that one in a little bit. This fear of change is paralyzing, and it's coming out in objections that are saying, we're not sure what we want to do, we don't know what we want to do, we want to think about it, all of those common things, right guys? You've all had them. I see people shaking their heads. And yet, are we negating that fear, or are we just trying to handle the objection to get them to do what we want them to do? Hello? Okay. No, yes, no what?
Well, I think it's really appreciating what they're feeling is very real to them, and they have to sense that we really appreciate that and help them through that so that that fear is not as strong.
So how would you do that?
Well, I would do it by, first of all, probing more and finding out where they're really coming from and listening so that they understand that I really care about their feelings or whatever it is. Whether they may, as you say, they may voice it in objection, yet it's more than just the objection, it's what's under the objection. They can get that by asking more probing questions and then reassuring them, if it truly is the right time for them, reassuring them to go forward.
So you could even ask the question, Ruth, it sounds like you have some, you're nervous about making the change of actually now really actually selling your home and making that move back to Hartford, Connecticut, which you've talked about doing for the last 2 years. I mean, actually pulling it out and telling them that you understand that they have a fear of possibly changing and moving or doing something that makes them uncomfortable, right? I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but yet we're scared to ask it because what if we really uncover the fear or one of these fears and really realize that the client's best interest is not to sell or not to buy? Then we don't have a deal, and oh my God, if we don't have a deal and we didn't prospect, then that means our broker or our team leader is going to think we're not doing our job. You know, I mean, there you go. There you go. There you go. Exactly. Good. What else? Anything else on this fear of change? David.
When we work with buyers, we realize that the buyers will go out and write offers on properties, and once their offer actually gets accepted, that's when the real fear kicks in. They have no problem with writing 30 offers and they all get rejected. That's easy. So what we started to do now is in our initial consultation, we talk about this with the buyer. We explain to them that at some point we're going to get an offer accepted, and that's when typically we seek an experience that the fear kicks in. And we're going to be there to help you through this because we know exactly, we know what they need, we know what their expectations are, so we know this is the perfect property for them, and that helps. And we can always go back to that.
Good. Good. Like it. Awesome. Did you have any comments on this, sir?
No, I didn't have a comment, but I did hear something Ruth said got my attention because we teach it. There's a simple principle to remember when you want to find out information. There's a life lesson here, so remember the life lesson. If two people have opposing points of view on anything, it is going to be incredibly difficult for either one of you to talk the other out of their position. I'm telling you right now, it's a life lesson. Try it on anything. However, If your technique is to get their light bulb to go on by self-discovery,
It's on.
if you get their light bulb to go on through self-discovery, i.e., asking questions, then here's what often happens. Wow, Steve raised an interesting point. I hadn't thought about that. Maybe I should reconsider my position. Instead of Steve pushing, bullying, doing something wrong to get you to change your position, it's not going to happen. So I know it's premature, but just listen to the script because it applies to everybody in the room. You walk into an appointment, buyer or seller, it makes no difference. You shake hands, you have your small talk. Here is the first thing you say. It's simple. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, today's meeting is all about you and what's important to you. Are you folks okay with that? Pretty simple, right? Today's meeting is all about you and what's important to you. Are you both okay with that? There is your license to ask questions. Because if I don't know you, we've never met, how could I possibly know what's important to you unless I ask you questions? It's that simple. When you get the okay, because no one will ever tell you no to that. Never. They don't want the meeting to be about you and how many houses you sold and all that nonsense. Then it's your license to ask questions. Everybody okay with that? It's that simple. Today's meeting is all about you and what's important to you. Is that all right with you?
That's great. Thank you. You can hold it because we'll need it again. So great, excellent. Any comments or questions for Steve on that initial script? Because doesn't that kind of take away some of the fear they might be having, that they can start opening up to you and really sharing maybe some things that are, you know, that they might hold back, which comes out in the form of an objection later, which is, we need to think about it, right? You know, that's the one we always get. I've had it, you've had it, we've all had it, right? We need to think about it. Because ultimately, maybe this fear of change is really what's driving that, and maybe because they're uncomfortable sharing with you, they won't tell you exactly what they're truly feeling. Okay? Then there's the fear of being cheated. Now, you know, I put this one up here because I never really experienced this one a whole lot, but this does come up, and it comes up with maybe sometimes you're working, a lot of us are working with first-time home buyers, or people who are in the elderly type communities, or a community that are going into an elderly community. Some people do work in that piece of the business, and maybe they've had a bad experience with a realtor before. You know, a bad experience where, unfortunately, there are some realtors out there today who don't do the right thing. No one in this room, but there are. That one bad experience taints them for life. You know, they had a realtor who said they were going to do this and this and this and this and this, and how come my home has been on the market since 2001? You know, and it hasn't sold. You know, so they get this fear going, which is, well, what if they're just really wanting to take my listing because they want the commission? You know, and it becomes not, again, not about the client, about the realtor. Or the first-time home buyer who's never purchased a home before in their life. This is a big deal for them. You know, we're really scared. What if? Is this the right decision? Not so much as the realtor taking advantage of me, but am I making really the right decision? And more importantly, you know, this person seems pretty pushy and aggressive to get this deal done quickly. You know? Why are they doing that? See, so those little objections that start creeping up come up when number 4 raises its head. So that fear of being cheated, it's not often, but it does come up. And again, you have to look through these.